Hello, people of the internet, it's Amanda, and oh my gosh, I'm super excited to film today's video. We're gonna be talking about episode 9 of Miman Keisatsu Midnight Runner starring Nakajima Kento and Hirano Sho. And you know me, I've been yapping about this particular episode for how many weeks now, considering that because of 24-hour Taribi last week. So the wait for this episode, especially with the cliffhanger that they left us for after episode 8, it's been a while. So I may have gotten a little bit crazy around the time waiting for this particular episode. A couple of videos on Remote Miman Keisatsu, which is this mini project that Nakajima Kento had for this particular series, where they posted like a couple of mini episodes on YouTube leading up to the episode today. It has nothing to do with the story, actually. It was really more of just a fun project, like showcasing like the two of them in a remote setup. But I don't know, this one, so there's definitely a lot to talk about. We're gonna be recapping theories from my past videos. We're also going to be talking about the plot, the revelations, and at the same time, just my theories as to what's going to happen for episode 10, because even if we have resolved a couple of issues here and there about the overarching theme or the overarching plot of this narrative about the shovel killer, there's still the episode still ended on a cliffhanger, and there's definitely a lot more to the story than what we're seeing, because it seems like we're gonna be circling back from the beginning. And I called it, I said it before, there's definitely something there that has a tendency to be revisited, so I'm also gonna try and discuss more of that in today's video. Now, with that said, okay, so how do we cover this? It's just a lot. Now, the episode starts immediately with a scene showing that Kai and Jiro are fighting, and Kai is saying that, it was the first time that Jiro had lied to him in the entire time that they met each other, that they were together, and that they've developed this entire bond between them. Now, after that, we move past 3 hours later before everything else is happening. And then it's more of like this idea that they're trying to revisit the shovel killer case, which is in reference to the events of episode 8. And then for Inohara comes back. So if you remember, Inohara was from episode more of the earlier episodes, and then she left the academy in episode 4. She was the one who had a little crush on Kai-kun before everything else, so there's that. Now she comes running back to the academy, telling them that Fuyumi or Tachibana called her the night previously, and she confessed that she has proof about the shovel killer's true identity. And so this entire thing about Jiro and Kai trying to catch up and look for Tachibana starts happening. But they get confronted by the same people who were running after Kai in episode 7. Yeah, episode 7, when he was trying to get the evidence that is supposedly to provide the alibi for Akiyotema. Now, with this entire thing, so it's definitely like we start the episode on high level emotions immediately, and then it develops from there, where it's basically this goose chase between these police people and Tachibana, Jiro, and Kai. Now they run into this like weird ass about for some reason Jiro always leads them to like dead ends, and like the thing with this is the face of the killer apparently is not seen on the evidence itself. However, there is definitely something there that tells them who the culprit was. So it's definitely this confusing kind of thing. Like they've been playing off that idea even before they showed us the actual footage. And the thing with this is it's definitely like this thing where you don't really know who to trust, or it's more of this idea that if these people just talk to each other properly about their motives, about what they have inside their heads, then probably we wouldn't be ending up with this kind of level of misunderstanding. But of course, given all the drama and everything like that, it has to happen. So it was revealed that, and again, I'm so happy that this ended up I ended up being right about this. Yanagida isn't the bad guy, so there's that for you. And it was revealed that it was actually the other way around. So again, as a lot of people suspected, it is actually Katanozaka who is behind the shovel killer hood. So there's that plot twist for you. I mean, if you haven't seen it coming, then good for you. It's just a lot of people have really been digging deep into this entire just theory. The thing of this is that for Katanozaka, so I saw this on Twitter and I realized that I haven't really talked about this in any of my videos. I couldn't find the actual tweet where I saw this one, but I tried it for myself. And apparently, like, if you look at the profile of Iseya Yusuke's character on the Miman Keisatsu homepage itself, like if you do the vertical reading, which is again in reference to episode 4, they did that entire thing. You will see that, you know, it's police academy instructor and criminal professional. Like, it's kind of cool how that entire thing played out, like if you read it vertically. So a lot of people saw it as a clue. For me, it's just this disbelief of thinking that, you know, they wouldn't just throw off this entire idea. Like, there wasn't any precedent for Yanagida to be the bad guy completely. And again, I've always believed that even at the end of episode 8, it was more of him trying to either stop, really stop Jiro and Kai from investigating further, or it was him trying to like provoke them into investigating into this entire thing. Which, I mean, either way, it had the same effect, because honestly, like, they tried to tread into this entire thing very carefully and in their own way. Again, not really carefully, I take that back. They're really rather reckless about this entire thing. But I mean, there's just that guardianship that's happening here, and it's kind of interesting how the emotional aspect of this ended up being, because, okay, going back to the actual plot, I get sidetracked a lot. I'm so sorry. But anyways, going back to the actual plot of the entire thing. So when Jiro started looking for the, when he actually watched the footage, and we have to commend Fuyumi as well for being a badass and just taking over, you know, just to distract Yanagida. She puts the phone in Jiro's shirt pocket, and then she does this entire thing where, you know, she flips the switch so that she can take Yanagida's gun. I feel like that's very cool of her. It leads to Jiro, you know, having hold of the evidence and him seeing it for himself and being so conflicted and confused as to what he's gonna do. Now, what I like about this is, again, like, it's more of this idea of Jira's emotionality taking over him, and realizing that, you know, these two, Jiro and Kai, they really brought us this entire story of being friends, being brothers, not by blood, but by bond. And he had this notion that, you know, before anyone else, he's always been protective of him. We've seen this in episode 6, where the younger brother of the Tenma siblings, you know, is trying to threaten Kai, and Jiro was all like, if you try to like hurt him, I swear. It's definitely that protectiveness that keeps on like popping up in his character. And it's the same thing for this one. Like, he wanted to protect Kai from the circumstances, mainly because, you know, they view Katanozaka as this figure that they could trust. And it was really more so for Kai and Katanozaka, because again, there's this parallelism between the two of them. Like, there's this trust. And for Jiro and Yanagida, you know, it's the same thing, like the same dynamic of wanting to protect these people that they actually care about. that they view as, you know, someone that is an extension of themselves, that's someone that they actually have a massive trust on. And it's always like trying to believe in that person. I think that's the main dynamic that they're trying to show here. And for Jiro, you know, that has been his instinct so far throughout this entire thing. It's always about protecting Kai, relying on Kai, just trusting Kai. And so knowing that, you know, the person that you're the important person, like knowing that someone who is important to this other person is important to you, someone who your other person looks up to as a hero, as, you know, someone that believed in them, that had trust in them, especially given Kai's background, where, you know, after a couple of months in his first job, he quit, and so he couldn't find like another job after that. It like wrecking someone's spirit like that, you know, it definitely was that kind of conflict for Jiro. And seeing just that, it's more of like the acting of both Nakajima Kento and Hirano Sho for this particular episode. It's more of just expressiveness rather than just really saying all these feelings out loud. But I think they did a really good job. I mean, I felt so bad and so sorry for them. I feel like, and again, flipping the switch with Iseya Yusuke, and then for Harada Taizou, who, again, I've said this before, I love Harada Taizou as a comedian. I am so amused by him, and it's super amazing to see him in this particular role. And the way that, you know, when he was confronting Jiro about the evidence, there's really not a lot of things happening there, but the subtlety, the way they delivered acting, again, this isn't the most intricately written drama at all. There are a lot of lapses. I've said this in my previous videos, but the chemistry between the actors, especially between Kenty and Sho, and then Taizou and Yusuke, just having that, and even the supporting cast as well, it's what's making this drama have its charm. And I like how after the entire fight scene between Jiro and Kai, you know, Kai reminds Jiro that at the end of the day, you know, it's not about me, it's not about protecting me, it's not about protecting us as, you know, what this has, or just the disillusionment of what's happening. It's not because of that, but it's because of the promise that we gave the Tenma siblings about giving their family justice. And then Jiro sort of like drops drops the facade that he's playing, and he gives in, and he apologizes to Kai-kun for lying to him. And that scene was so emotionally taxing for me. For them to make up like that, I almost felt pissed. Like, all the angst, everything that you made me feel, and then it ends up with that. I mean, I'm happy that they made up. It's just that I was so stressed the entire time about that entire sequence. And then, so finally, we revert back to this entire thing where finally we know that it's Katanozaka who was the actual culprit of the entire thing. But he's trying to make Kuneda confess about something. And then there's also Yanagida's character, who's just also trying to make sense of everything and just trying to put things together. And so that leads us to the ending of the episode, where when they reviewed the video on the phone, there's something there that surprises both Kai and Jiro, and then we ended at that. Being the little piece of shit this episode is, like, after making us wait for 2 weeks, they ended in yet another cliffhanger episode. Though I'm not exactly that mad anymore, considering how well packed this episode was. Now, with that said, so moving on to my theories for next episode. Now, I know that my entire recap and review is just a complete mess, but I'll try as much as possible to make this part of the video a lot clearer and a lot more cohesive. But okay, so starting from that particular fact, like what is it about that video that shocked them? if we can look at it in a way that they're really rewinding it, it seems like the body was already there for almost an entire day before Katanazaka himself goes back and tries to bury it. Now, my theory is that he is not the actual shovel killer, like he's trying to cover up for someone else, and he's only been the one doing all the digging, all the burying on the behalf of someone else. Now, I saw the trailer for the next episode, and it seems like, again, we're circling back to the girl who was in episode 1, where Katanazaka shared a story about his daughter, but we never really find out, what happened there. And the thing of this is, my theory is that probably, so the first victim of the shovel killer is actually a student who's from a political family. My theory is that for some reason she got involved with Katanazaka's child, and because of that entire thing, probably like the daughter of Katanazaka is the actual killer. Like, that's my theory for that, and he's trying to cover up for her. Like, maybe again, they said this in their profiling in the earlier episodes, where the first kill was really more of like a very shallow kind of hit. It seems like it's unintentional, but the second and the third one, it's a lot harder, so it seems like, that's more force. So the first one, I feel like, I don't know, maybe the daughter of Katanazaka ended up killing the student because of certain circumstances, and they tried to go to the police about like the circumstances that was what they call this, led to that, but they didn't do anything. Maybe Kaneda was scared, or he tried to cover things up because the girl's family were politicians, and maybe from there, the daughter of Katanazaka did something, which led to the death of the girl, and then Katanazaka tried to cover it up. And then the second one is that for Tenma, maybe she was a witness, I don't know. But the third one, I feel like the detective / police officer was also killed, might be a victim, might be the one in charge of investigating the case, and maybe Katanazaka was the one who killed him because he was getting to the bottom of things, I don't know. But looking at the patterns of the shovel killer and how he does things, it's quite evident that it's not just a series of serial killings, but rather he really wants the bodies to be found for a certain reason. And knowing Katanazaka's character, it probably has something to do with, also wanting to save someone from this entire thing. Now, this is just me far reaching into it, because I feel like if they would just ruin the character just like that, it wouldn't make sense. I've said this before, all of the culprits for the past couple of episodes, they have something that they're fighting for, and at the end of the day, we learned that this is the reason why we need more police officers like Jira and Kai, is because of certain circumstances that's been happening in the system. And for Katanazaka, I feel like it's also a cry for help. At least I think, for some reason, I don't know, it just has that kind of vibe for me, and I feel like Jiro and Kai would probably be the one who would be able to give him that kind of justice or help that he wants to come out from this entire thing. Maybe again, it all circles back to this idea that the police should have this mandate of helping every single person, but because of certain circumstances, because of how the system works, that always doesn't play off as well. And even police officers themselves are not saved from this entire thing, this entire dilemma, and therefore sometimes it affects them so much, very similarly to Katanazaka. And I don't know, I'm just super happy. Just to wrap things up, I know this has been a mess, but I don't feel like that's just the end of it with the entire shovel killer theory arc thing. I feel like there's still something more there that we have to look back to. And I don't know. I mean, this video is probably a massive mess, just like my past videos, obviously. But again, I'm just super happy that my theory about Yanagida is correct. I don't know. I just felt like there's definitely a lot more precedent for Katanozaka to be the culprit rather than Yanagida. So I was really happy that I got that on point. And at the same time, again, it's kind of interesting and refreshing to see, this very emotional moment between not just Jiro and Kai, but between Kenty and Sho. I feel like they really did a good job in this particular episode conveying these types of emotions. And again, by far, this is probably like my favorite episode. It trumped episode 5, which was my current favorite episode. So there's that. I'm looking forward to watching this again later. Excited to be able to talk about it again in full scale after that 1 week, 2 week break that we had over the past couple of weeks. So yeah, now tell me down in the comments below, what are your thoughts on this particular episode? Did you love it? Did you not love it? Did you see that plot twist coming? I don't know, just talk it out down in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel and you would want to hear more from me, please hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you again soon in a new one.